I guess a little recap. If you're new tonight, since we are continuing a game, the game that we're playing is a little different. I know I tweeted about it and stuff, but it's an interactive story game, which we've played on the stream before. You know, we've done The Walking Dead and stuff like that. But the thing that makes this one different than those is there is nothing to watch, really. There is no action. It is literally a story that we read and make choices. And there's 5 chapters total in the game, and Friday we did chapters 1 through 3. So tonight we're gonna do 4 and 5 and see what happens. I'm so the story took such an unexpected turn. Friday, I was not expecting interdimensional monsters. That's just not, I mean, I knew, like, obviously something not right was going on, but monsters from another dimension would not have been my first guess at all. So I'm gonna let this music, actually no, I should probably pause it because this is gonna get right into the game. It should, I tested it because I didn't want it to not save my place. It should pick up right where we left off last time. Yeah, okay, here we go. Oh, why is this not showing?
A host.
Ooh.
Oh, very well.
Thank you for the
Submit
host.
to my absolute authority, and we will unite our forces.
I don't know why this isn't showing. Oh, there we go, okay. The ride up the elevator is tense. I take a series of deep breaths, doing everything I can to stay in control. Amy has gotten back to her feet, but her head is pressed against the elevator wall as she suppresses a series of sobs.
Of course you follow me. They all
Thank you
do.
for the follow. I find myself trying to remember the way those creatures looked, but my mind seems to shudder at the effort. I've seen something that is an impossibility, a mockery of what I know is real. This fills me with a terror that dwarfs anything else I've felt since discovering the facility. I try to focus my mind on something else, and that's when I remember that I've just murdered Marcus. I killed Marcus, I say, the thought feeling like jumping into cold water. Had you ever killed anyone before, Amy asks. No. He was going to kill me, she says. I'm sure of it. Probably. Well, thank you, she says, but her tone is unsteady and her face is unreadable. Of course. Like, I was just gonna let him kill you. I guess he deserved it, she says. Her comment hangs in the air for a moment as we wait for the elevator to stop. So, I say, how did you end up here? She gives a nervous chuckle and shrugs. I used to work with the Pentagon. It was some pretty upper echelon stuff that I still can't discuss. I assume this place is even more upper echelon, I say. This place isn't even on the scale, she answers. My other job was a cakewalk compared to this. Then why stay, I ask. Because the money is ridiculous. I have a 13-year-old daughter already talking about Harvard. You do the math. I'm doing well. Thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Harvard, huh? That's ambitious. Nah, let's ask her if she has... Let's learn about her. Let's try to ground her. No, just the one. Her dad split on us when she was 3. I never remarried, so no siblings for her. I may have only gotten one, but the one I got is amazing. Amy pauses before continuing softly. What if I never see... Her voice breaks off, the words too terrible to say. Her eyes fill with tears. The elevator comes to a stop, the slight ding of it interrupting the moment. Amy hastily wipes her eyes, and we waste no time in getting back inside the command center. Oh, that's right. Okay, so we had to go back up. I was trying to remember. So we're back in the command center now. I read it, and the screen goes black for a moment. The moment the words "override confirmed" come up on the screen, Amy jumps up from the chair and heads out of the room. We have to be quick, she says. We have exactly 20 minutes to open those hangar doors. I think I know what happens in 20 minutes, so I'm not gonna ask questions. Let's just get out of here. I follow her out of the command center and back down the hallway towards the same elevator that brought us here. Amy punches the elevator button and the doors slide open. We're taking the same elevator back to the biochem room, I ask. Those creatures are still down there. It's the only way back down, she says. The other way is blocked by those hydraulic doors we pulled. Hopefully the creatures left. Hopefully. Neither of us say anything else as we share a look of immense dread. We step back into the elevator and head back down to the biochem room on level 3. Ooh, going right back down into the thick of it. What if Marcus isn't there anymore? As the elevator doors open, we peer out, looking to see if the creatures are still in the area, but it's all clear. When Amy looks to me, her eyes are clear and strong. Marcus wasn't entirely wrong, Amy says as we start walking back towards the hangar doors. About what, I ask. About how I am partially to blame for this. Why would you be to blame? You said you weren't there. Some of the things we do here, it's scary. We should have known that one day something like this would happen. Everyone here with knowledge of what goes on in level 3 is to blame, she says. It's a highly advanced research facility, I say, doing amazing but risky stuff. So, yeah, you're partially to blame by just working here, but I can understand the dedication. So why don't you tell me a bit more about what does go on in level 3, I ask. Are you familiar with the Large Hadron Collider over in Switzerland? I've heard the phrase, but that's about it, I say. It's a powerful particle accelerator, she explains. Right now they're using it to try and create what's called dark matter. It's theorized that this dark matter actually makes up the majority of the universe, but parts of the universe very different from ours. My guess is the people at the LHC will probably create their first dark matter particle in about 2018 or 2019. Here in this facility, we were able to create one almost 10 years ago. It was the key to our research. What does it have to do with the creatures, though? Well, we still won't know all there is about dark matter, or other matter we have yet to identify. These creatures could be made of it, or maybe there's some even more exotic matter. We just don't know. If dark matter is responsible, there are no real answers to have. I scratch my head. So you're saying this dark matter helps with, what, opening up other dimensions or something? That's the theory, she says. During the point-to-point transfer, the subjects are gone for about 3 to 6 seconds. There's no way to see or measure their presence, but they exist somewhere. From what we can tell, they exist in a kind of void. Well, she said it's like a void, so have you done this with people? We know they've done it with rats. We have sent human subjects through. Almost all of them have returned successfully. I make an involuntary grimace. Almost? There was one man, Dr. Khanna, who didn't return. We don't know where. She trails off, taking a moment to collect herself. Sorry I asked, I say, feeling my mind start to bend inward again. As we continue to walk between the silos, we walk past the area where we left Marcus's body. I barely even glance at his body, still unable to believe that I was responsible for killing him. I also don't want to look at additional damage the monsters caused. A pool of blood and mangled clothes are all I see through the corner of my eye. I realize that we are walking very close together between the silos, perhaps trying to create the illusion of safety. We reach the exit connecting to the main hangar doors where Dennis hopefully still is. My guts clench and my heart hammers in my chest as we open the door and walk through. I lift the rifle, but at first it seems that there's nothing waiting for us, and that's when I see the glowing, hulking shape to my left, closing in fast. Uh-oh. Oh no, but what about Dennis? The creature is about 10 feet away and coming in quickly, so I do the first thing that comes to mind. I drop to the ground, making myself a smaller target, and raise the rifle. I'm not sure if I should just unload on the bastard or try to be choosy with my shots and weaken it, or at least slow it down, because we know it won't kill it. Well, we know it won't kill it, so we'll shoot to weaken it. My shot causes the entire milky white frame to jerk to the floor. It flounders, its ghost-like tentacles writhing with rage as it cries out at me. It seems to turn and jerk away, parts of it appearing and disappearing every few feet. It moves down the hall and out of sight. I look quickly around for others, but there is only Amy. She looks at where the monster went with wide eyes. Her face is pale, and I wonder if, like me, she's able to feel her mind trying to retreat. Come on, I say, let's find Dennis and get through those hangar doors. Amy glances at her watch and nods. We're already down to 6 minutes. We turn towards the hangar doors, and I'm a little disgusted with myself because the bloody scene that so shocked me before now seems mild. Amy goes to work on the computer console on the side of the doors. She starts punching in keys before saying, "This is gonna take some time." "I thought you already unlocked it," I ask. "I did," she says, "but for this door there's still security permissions I need to hack. Marcus would have known how to do this." She trails off, and I decide to let her work. Suddenly, something slams into me. I feel my feet leave the floor, and I'm literally thrown across the concrete. I look up in time to see one of the creatures. It's apparently in no hurry to attack me again, focusing on Amy instead. She's not armed. I need to come up with a plan to get this thing away from her so she can focus on getting the door open. It raises one of its flickering appendages, making me certain that part of its makeup is pure light and energy. I could easily take a shot with my rifle, but my mind again goes to how much remaining ammo I have. The only other thing I can think of is to get it to chase me and lead it away from this room somewhere. That's a good idea. Let's just get it away from her so she can keep working. Hey, I yell. Right here, come get me. I'm the one that shot your buddy. It turns to me, and I'm again faced with staring at something that has no business in this world, in this reality. Its body gives off a sort of glow around the central part, a bulbous core that's branched off into two humps, very much like a spider. Again, I sense that this visual information is not accurate, but it's the best my simple mind can do to make sense of this impossible creature. It starts lurching towards me and lets out a shriek of agony that makes my ears feel like they'll explode. Now that I'm sure it's coming after me, I take off running and head into another hallway we haven't been down. I find myself in an industrial-looking area and am pleased to find that the monster has followed me through. Oh my goodness. We still don't know where Dennis is, though. He could be fine. The room seems to be an assortment of old pipes and tanks. I assume some of them run further down into other areas of the facility. With the creature on my tail, I dash into the maze of metal, hoping to lose it. It's definitely having a harder time squeezing through than I am, and that slows it down. Of course, the room's not a cage of any kind. The thing is still heading towards me, shredding through the pipes as it rages. I notice that sometimes it's breaking the steel girders, but other times it seems like it's somehow merging or changing them. Pipes that were separate are now connected together in a way that makes my head hurt. I finally get a good amount of distance between myself and the creature. I think it's lost my trail. I need to get back to those hangar doors. There's not much time before they close shut, but if I make a sound, that creature could be on my heels again. If I hide and escape quietly, I might not make it in time. And if I run as fast as I can, maybe I could still lose it and it won't be super close to me. I'm just gonna run. I'm just gonna run and see what happens. There's no time, I think to myself. I have to get moving. With no care of staying silent, I twist myself through some more pipes and make my way back toward the door I entered through. Immediately, the creature picks up on this and turns towards me, but I don't even look back. I slide through this rusted obstacle course and sprint back to the hangar doors. I think that's a good idea, because if I take too long to try to hide, I could get locked out. I burst back into the large room and see Amy still working on the computer terminal by the hangar doors. "You okay?" I ask Amy. I can clearly see her battling for control of her faculties. Steel determination wins out and she gives a grim nod. "Any sign of where Dennis went?" I ask, hoping she hasn't noticed his body somewhere. "No," she replies. It's then that I realize I have no idea how many rounds I have remaining in the rifle. This isn't a model I'm familiar with. Outside of some deer hunting, I'm not much of an expert on firearms. Still, I'm able to locate the chamber easily and see that there were only 2 rounds left. I silently curse myself for being too trigger happy earlier. "How are we on time?" I ask her. 4 minutes. I'm going as fast as I can. I was worried how long it would take you to lose that thing. "Well," I say, "I decided it was better to get back quickly than to..." At that moment, the creature screams on the other side of the door. "He'll be in here any second." Amy does her best to focus on the keyboard, but there's still no sign of Dennis. Before I have time to look around, a screeching sound erupts from the other end of the room. I bring the rifle up in a shooter's stance and turn around. With the hangar doors right behind me, no signs of Dennis, and a closing window of time, I have to be confident. Yet, when 2 monsters come around the corner, my body wants to shut down. The appendages seem to jump in time and space, reaching out for a split second, independent of the body, and then disappearing back to where they came from. It turns and screeches at me, its glowing tentacles snaking out of its body. My knees tremble uncontrollably. Behind me, Amy shrieks. I feel myself losing control, my mind sliding into the abyss of insanity. I pull myself back from the brink. I've got to stay in control. Well, I only have 2 rounds. She's almost got it. We know shooting them, if I hit them right, I'll make them run away. Oh God, I only have 2 rounds. I don't know what to do. Let's shoot them. Maybe they'll run away. I step away from Amy and the hangar doors and towards the monster, ready to defend her. I ready my rifle, but the creature wastes no time. It makes that jerky motion toward me, and there's a sharp pain in my chest as it collides with me. Or through me, it's hard to tell. My instinct is to try to grapple or hold this thing down, but then I realize I don't even know if that'll work. I don't think I'm going to be able to grab it, so let's just try to get away. I don't want to do more damage to myself trying to wrestle with it. I figure I'd rather not try to learn more about the physical nature of this thing right now. I tuck and roll away from it and then stand up to face it. With a scream of defiance, I raise the rifle and put a round in its core. The shot lands dead center and the light inside of it flickers almost violently. It falls back against the wall, issuing a hiss of its telltale static noise. It then jerks away and retreats, at least for now. Another terror appears as if out of nowhere, screaming at me with its high-pitched whine. It bounds forward, charging in its strange, spastic way. I aim the rifle, intending to take this one in the core too. I take several shots, but it's still coming at me. As it slams into me, I pull the trigger again and realize that my rifle is now empty. On contact, the wind is knocked out of my lungs and the back of my head strikes the floor, but neither of these things is as alarming as the fact that the beast is on top of me. Its exterior is like a seashell that has been pounded by the surf for so long that it has lost all edges and ridges. But the grip it tries to capture me with is pure violence. I feel those light-soaked appendages start to wrap around me. I raise the rifle, knowing it is empty, but hoping to use it as a wedge to push the thing off of me. The weight of the monster is erratic. One moment I feel weightless, another I feel like I'm going to be crushed. I push upward with the rifle. The monster budges a bit, but almost seems to absorb it, warping it in its grip. I see the core of its body, a spider-like shape connected to the rest of it by thin white strings of tissue. I'll be dead within seconds unless I can fend it off or get help. Punch it. Let's see what happens. I just want to know. I do my best to give one last heave to push it off, but my hands melt through. I curse myself for wasting so many bullets earlier. Two of its appendages wrap around my left shoulder, and I feel a white-hot pain fill my body. The tentacles burn, and I realize that some are actually going through my shoulder, like a kid pulling apart the stitches of a doll. But then I see the creature extend its tentacles in aggravation while making that static screeching sound. The creature flickers, releasing me suddenly. With a shudder and a cry of desperation, I roll away from it and see that a large hole has appeared in its luminous core. The creature disappears into thin air and reappears a few feet from me, retreating back toward the biochem room. Amy looks over at me from her terminal at the hangar doors, looking petrified. Dennis stands several feet away, holding a shotgun. He walks slowly towards us and is clearly just as scared and out of sorts as we are. "You okay, boss?" he asks. But his eyes aren't on me. They're looking to the creature, trying to understand exactly what he's just seen. "About 15 minutes ago, I heard the door to that maintenance room unlock," Dennis says, pointing to the room I tried to bust my way into earlier. "Ah," Amy says, "when I did the override up in the command center and unlocked all small doors down here, including that maintenance room." "I went inside there and hid," Dennis continues, "and while I was waiting for you to come back, I found a massive trunk. There were a few guns in it, so I grabbed this one," he says, patting his shotgun. "I'm glad you're safe, Dennis. I don't care about the weapons." "Thanks, boss," he says. "Me too." "Great. Now how is that door coming along?" I ask Amy. She makes a few final key presses and says, "Done." The doors open with a noise of hydraulics and a whoosh of air. Dennis, Amy, and I climb up and head through the doors, moving on nothing more than adrenaline. I see her look longingly at the maintenance room Dennis took the shotgun from. "You get into the hangar," Dennis says. "I'll get some more firepower." Satisfied with the plan, Amy heads through the door. We scramble inside, finally inside the hangar. Dennis approaches from behind, holding several guns and looking like a kid who grabbed an armful of Halloween candy. Amy reaches out for a 9mm with one hand. Dennis turns to me and holds out a shotgun and a handgun for me to choose. Both look deadly. The shotgun looks more powerful, but the handgun will probably be more precise. I do a lot of reading, Div. I read a lot. Like, in my free time, I read a lot. I know Dennis is safe. Yes! As soon as I read that, I was like, oh, my heart. Yay, Dennis. Do you want a shotgun? Do you want a handgun? Let's see. A shotgun, I think, is going to do more. I think a shotgun's only going to take, like, what? One round to the core? Let's take a shotgun. Take the shotgun. Ooh, that sounded important. I take the shotgun, surprised at how heavy it feels, but also invigorated by its weight. There are more creatures coming, as many as a dozen. They're floating down the hall quickly, their tentacles slithering. The way their light seems to mingle together is almost beautiful. Close the door, I yell at Amy. She dashes to another terminal mounted on the inside of the hangar doors and tries to desperately close them. It's not working, she says with tears in her eyes. This terminal is disabled. Dennis looks through the open doors, readying himself to shoot the first monster that nears us. Should we try to slow a few down or just run for it, he asks, his gun at the ready. Should we waste ammo trying to slow them down? Or just run? Let's just run. That way we can save our ammo in case they get too close. Good idea, says Amy. With that, we turn around and sprint out onto the hangar floor. That's true, but we had a shotgun, for the beginning part. I think it's alright. The room is enormous, so large that to call it a room. Also in the rear hangar I can see some kind of chamber or control center. Dennis and I follow Amy across the hangar floor. Behind us, a series of rough slithering sounds tells us that the creatures have made their way into the hangar. From somewhere up ahead, a loud buzzing noise sounds out. It reminds me of the slight buzzing noise I'd heard in the forest, the noise that got me into all this trouble in the first place. I look ahead and see, in the far back of the hangar, a bright red light is flashing. There's a small hatch or door below that light. The hatch is open, and I can see a shape inside it. I can barely make out the figure of a man standing there, holding an industrial microphone, and as soon as I see him, I hear his huge, amplified voice. It blares down over an intercom system, and he sounds pissed. I don't know who the hell you are, he says, but this is a government facility on lockdown, and there are protocols to... Shit! I assume the curse coincides with the exact moment he sees the creatures. They're making their way through the hangar doors. There are about 20 feet between us and the creatures. I act instinctively, squeezing off 2 shots with the shotgun. The first sprays low, hitting the floor and causing a shower of sparks, but the second shot causes one monster to jerk backwards. It's a good thing that a shotgun is quite forgiving. Amy and Dennis take the cue and start firing as well. The floor becomes littered with a swirling white fluid from the wounded creatures' bodies, but they're not slowing down. The alarm keeps shrieking behind us, and when I turn to see if anything has changed back there, I trip over my feet. I hit the ground hard and in an almost comic fashion slide several feet across the floor. From the ground I see that we've managed to turn back 4 of them, but I also see that my estimate of a dozen is off. There are at least 20 of them. Their sick dim light, sinister and gloomy. Their appendages seem to bind together as they come forward. My only hope of survival is that the man in the far doorway has somehow shut the hangar doors. His voice comes blaring over the intercom again, broken by the booming noise of the gunfire that we are laying down. Run here, towards the isolation chamber. I'm not sure how much time we have. I realize that I can sprint ahead of Amy and Dennis, or I can hang back and give them cover. I'm gonna cover them, because I would rather them go. Go inside where that guy is, I say. I'll make sure we don't have any of those things right on our tails. I'll hold them back for a while. I know it sounds macho, but it also feels like the right thing to do. I have to at least try to give us some kind of chance for escape. So as Amy and Dennis run through the doors, I blast at the next thing that I see moving. All I get for my troubles is that static-like hiss and a high-pitched whistling noise. I'm able to beat them back a bit, forcing them to scatter. Each flicker of light is a small victory. If nothing else, I'm buying Amy and Dennis time. When I'm certain there's nothing more I can do, I turn and run. I hustle, quickly catching up to Amy and Dennis, who stop and turn to provide me with cover fire. There, Amy says, pointing to the small door where the man was standing earlier. The swarm is less than 15 feet away now, so furious that they are pushing through one another to get to us. I fire, still not quite used to the kick of the shotgun. I aim for the core of one, but the shot hits low. Still, it knocks the bastard back, giving me time to readjust. We're in the middle of the hangar floor now, with the isolation chamber ahead and the monsters behind. Beside me, Dennis also fires. The kick of the gun jolts him, probably a result of him being weakened from the blood loss. His shot lands true, though, causing a jerking stumble and a flickering of its light. We're almost in, Amy yells as we get close to the door. We hope will save us. They can go in first. I'll cover them while they get in first. Get inside, I tell Amy and Dennis, motioning for them to get moving with my gun. I open the door and give Dennis a push toward it. He resists, more eager to try taking down another of the beasts before he makes it to safety, but he eventually gives in. I wait a beat to make sure Amy is inside too. I fire off a few rounds on the creatures that are still headed for us, hoping to slow them down. When Amy and Dennis clear the door, I nearly dash inside, but then feel something hot seep into my back. "Roger!" Dennis yells. The pain in my back is so immense that I barely notice the fact that I'm being lifted from the floor. I look down and see that one of the creatures is using its flowing arms to grab me by my waist, its tentacles wrapping around me. It lifts me into the air as if presenting me as a trophy to its friends. I can't angle the shotgun to fire off a round, so I bring the stock of it down the monster's translucent smooth body. It's like striking at fog. My attack has very little effect. As it continues to hoist me up, screeching its approval, Dennis comes back out of the room and fires off a shot. The bullet catches the monster on the underside of its core, sending it backward and causing it to freeze for a moment. It releases me and I hit the ground, dropping my gun and again finding myself unable to breathe. I feel slightly dizzy, but that fades when I see Dennis still standing outside the door. He's firing into the beast like a madman and doesn't see the one to his left coming in along the edge of the wall. Yell. You can't get there fast enough, just yell. Hearing my voice, he turns to look directly at me, but this is the opposite of what he needs to do. Shit. Behind him, the creature glides up, shaking back and forth in space as it moves. By the time Dennis turns around and sees the creature coming, it has already drawn several of its appendages back to strike. Dennis tries to raise his gun, but it's knocked away by one of the tentacles. A second tentacle strikes, and Dennis is spun around and thrown off balance by the attack. Dennis catches himself before falling. A third tentacle wraps around Dennis's forearm, and I can see it squeeze, tightening instantly. The tip of the appendage passes clean through his hand, its blood-soaked tip poking out through his palm. Dennis's face grimaces with pain as he tries to wrench his arm free, but the creature's tentacle has his hand speared like a nail through wood. In a moment of dark clarity, I realize that I can free him with a clean shot at the monster's tentacle, but it will likely mean blowing Dennis's hand off. "Dennis," I yell over the creature's high-pitched static sound. "Can you get free? I have a shot, maybe." "No," Dennis gasps as the creature tosses him around by his hand like a puppet. "Don't shoot, I can get free." I can't tell if he's right, but the other monsters are starting to encircle him. I need to act fast. Oh, shit. Do we shoot his hand off? Okay, do we shoot off his hand to save his life, or risk his life to save his hand? He's already lost so much blood. This is a tough decision. This is actually really tough. This is the hardest decision I've had to make in this game, up to this point, because he's already severely injured. Okay, I'm gonna shoot off his hand to save his life. Because even though he's injured, even though he's lost a lot of blood, I feel like him knowing that he has a chance to live, plus the guy that we're going to meet in the room anyway is he's the guy that knows where all the... Dennis, you're gonna be handless. Sorry. If I don't take the shot while I have it, they're going to kill him. In a last-ditch effort, I try getting a good shot on the monster, but there is none. I'll hurt Dennis even worse if I try. I take aim and fire off a shot. The shot lands perfectly and results in a lot of blood and screams from both Dennis and the creature. Dennis's hand disappears into a spray of red, and the monster's appendage simply fades away. It literally seems to wink out of existence. The creature screeches while Dennis hits the floor, wailing in pain. The reality of what I have done sets in and nearly paralyzes me. "Get him," Amy says, "I'll cover you." I nod, still reeling from the sight of what I've done to Dennis. I stumble out the door. Amy is true to her word. She fires off a few rounds into the approaching monsters as I make it to Dennis. I grab a hold of him with my good arm. I drag him backward as fast as I can, nearly falling down in the process. When I reach the doorway, Amy reaches down and helps me drag his body the final few feet into the room. She manages to pull off another shot, and when I look to see what she's hit, I see another dozen or so of the monsters. Dennis is writhing in pain, and when he looks up to me, he's sneering. "You crazy asshole," he screams. He shudders violently, sweat and tears coursing down his pale face. Amy slams the door behind us. Finally, we're inside the room, hopefully safe within what looks to be an isolation chamber of sorts. Along the frame, a little electrical lock beeps as the door is secured. Okay, hold on. I need to fix this really quick, though. Okay. Oh, end of chapter 4. Well, that's the end of chapter 4. Self-control. You and 49% of players shot to weaken the creature, not kill it. 50-50. Wow, I'm surprised. Because, I mean, we already knew we couldn't kill it. Really. I mean, it just makes them retreat. Keep them at bay. You and 41% of players distracted the creature instead of shooting it. Weapon of choice. You and 43% of players took the shotgun instead of the handgun. And judgment call. You and 57% of players disobeyed Dennis's wishes to not shoot, causing him to lose his hand. I don't know. That's what stuff like this is all about, you know? I don't know if I really needed to. We'll never know if I really needed to.